It's just like, is this a podcast or is this a roast session?
Welcome to UnderTold by CM, the podcast where we share the jaw-dropping details of Black stories you might not know. Today, my guest is Dr. Antar Tichavakunda, the tenured professor at UC Santa Barbara. He is my personal go-to resource on race and higher ed. We met in grad school. So, Antar, just so you know, should I call you doctor now? I don't know.
Please just call me Ansar. Oh
All
my
right,
God.
Doc. I write my guest bios, so just let me know if I missed something. Antar and I, what we have in common is we met at the University of Southern California. Something else we have in common is that me and his mother participate in peaceful marches and protests. Now, Antar likely would, but he's on some kind of list where he could be targeted, so he has to lay low. Keep your head up. I know it's rough out there. I don't want anything to happen to you. Antar is also an author. He's a speaker, and I believe we call it a weekend warrior. Can you help me understand that?
This is the wildest introduction ever. Just have to say that. Yeah, no, if anyone wants to Google me, they will likely come up with me being on a professor watch list. That's all that Chris was referring to. Um, and I got a Achilles tendonitis for from running, but apparently not running enough. I found a beautiful synopsis of what tendonitis actually was, and the person said, "Oh, it's people who want to be active on the weekends." So that's who I am. Hello world. Was that the end of the bio? Golly, who wants to talk to me now?
No, actually, this makes me look really mean. So I'm making fun of your tendonitis.
It's like, is this a podcast or is this a roast session? Sheesh, that's
It's like,
cool.
and also, I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing. The professor watch list is legitimate. So we're just happy we have you while we can. You stay safe. So anyway, we like to start every episode with a fun random fact. It doesn't have to be fun, but just any fact that you think people should know that they don't know.
I share the supposed birthday of Frederick Douglass, or the birthday that he chose, February 14th.
Oh, we did talk about this.
Yeah,
We
but
have talked about that.
that wasn't my real one. But the real fact that I'm like always like astounded by is how long Galapagos tortoises live. Like they be
That is a
living
cool
up to
fact.
like 170, 200 years. Like that's really wild, you
That
know.
is cool. Okay, that is cool. That is a fun fact that one of my kids did tell me that. So anyway, let's get to our topic. I brought Antar on because as an academic, as a writer, I thought he would appreciate learning more about our subject, Anna Douglass. Do you know a lot about Anna Douglass?
I do not know a lot about Anna Douglass at all.
Yeah, Anna Douglass, first wife of Frederick Douglass, who you share maybe a birthday with. We don't exactly know when his birthday is. Did he just randomly pick it, or did he guess that that was possibly the day?
I think it was possibly the day. I think
Okay,
I think he was told that he was born in February, but our ancestors were robbed of so much, including birth dates, right? So
that's true. I wonder if he chose it before it was Valentine's Day or after. Anyway, in honor of the month of love, in honor of Dr. Antar's birthday and possibly Frederick Douglass's birthday, today's story is a love story. It is a story of sacrifice, of selflessness, and humility. And much of what I'm going to share today, I want to make sure I cite my sources. It comes from the one very thin, look how thin this is, pamphlet, almost, I think it's a stretch to call it a book, written about Anna Murray Douglass, written by her daughter, Rosetta. Yeah. So
shouts out
we'll
to the
start.
daughter.
Shouts out to who?
To the daughter. Shouts out to
Yeah,
Black women, you know?
Rosetta. She was a teacher. She was awesome. So we'll start at the beginning. Anna was born in Denton, Maryland, and much like Frederick, her soon-to-be beau, the exact date of her birth isn't known, but we do know that her parents were enslaved for a while and they had 12 kids. Now, the first 7 were born in slavery. The remaining 5 were born free. She was actually the first one born free. So
Mm.
she was never an enslaved person, but she was certainly very close to that institution. So Denton is out in the woods. It's a little rural. But at 17, she decided, I want to make my own money. So
Mm,
she moved to Baltimore and she worked for a French family for 2 years. She was most likely a housekeeper. That seems like she did a lot of domestic labor. And her daughter wrote that she left because she decided it was time she should be entirely self supporting. When did you leave home, Antar? How old were you?
I mean, for college, if but I don't even know if that counts, honestly.
I think it counts. I
Like, I
mean, you
left
know,
home, but it was not self-supporting. I was living in, residence halls, so if I really wanna get into it, like, the first time I really felt like I was on my own was when I
yeah.
moved to LA at 23, so
Oh, that's when we
yeah,
met.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, good times.
um
See, you didn't sound excited about that. You see? You see what I mean? Is that what I gave you about the turtle? Okay. I see where the energy is today. Okay. So, I moved out of my mom's house when I was 17 to go to college, but
Mm,
I certainly was not self-supporting. I remember I called my mom and asked her because I had never done laundry before. I literally had no idea what to do. She'd
mm,
done all my laundry before that. So, anyway,
I get that.
I am no Anna Douglass. So after she worked for that family for a couple of years, then she went to work for this other family, the Wells family.
Wait, when did she
And
move out? When did she move out? I'm sorry, I missed that.
oh, she was 17.
17, okay, okay. Sorry, I missed
Yeah.
golly.
I mean, honestly, maybe she wanted to leave all those siblings. It's a lot of
Mm,
kids.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, she left. So I think she was around 1920. She started working for this family where the husband was the postmaster. So a pretty prominent family in Baltimore. Baltimore was a unique place. While Maryland was technically a slave border state, the Baltimore had the largest population of free blacks in the entire country. Almost 1 out of 4 free blacks actually lived in that region, like the Delaware, Maryland, DC area, which is, I think one of the things I always think about is when you are living in proximity to enslaved
mm,
people, the enslaved people get to see evidence of like what it's like to be free,
yeah,
um, which is what Frederick saw. Anna Murray, she existed in this circle of free blacks in Baltimore, and we don't know how.
mm,
There's varying reports of how this happened, whether it was at church, where she was
wow,
singing, and where he was singing, or whether it was on at the ships. But she met Frederick, who at the time was named Frederick Bailey.
yeah. What was she
Um,
in the choir or something? Do we know that, or are we just assuming that, praise and
I
worship?
just I just like the idea of her singing, this lovely alto, and he's in the tenor, and they just find each other. And
Wouldn't he be more
what?
like a baritone? Do we know? I think like Douglas's voice. We're not talking about Douglas here. You see what men do? That was really wow. I'm sorry.
So, as you can see, I bought on a Frederick Douglass scholar, and maybe
I'm
that
not a.
wasn't the
I'm
maybe
definitely
that
not.
wasn't the right choice.
I'm
He's
not a Frederick.
very animated about Frederick, which, fair enough.
I
You guys share a birthday, possibly.
I do think though, like to your point, like and even thinking about that book, the very small book.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know, I'm thinking also about what you said with the singing. Like, I appreciate the imagery, and also I think it's on archivists to kind of paint that picture.
Mhm.
So because Black people, Black women especially, their voices and histories are silent so much in the archives. You think
Mhm.
about all the violence that's done, the silencing that's done in the archives, how little we know about different Black folks, and in particular Black women is often on Black archivists, Black historians, Black women to do that extra work of painting that picture. So I think just in different ways, you're doing some of that archival work of painting that picture. So thank you.
Oh, man. You coulda said I was starting rumors, but the reason I said that, it wasn't just out of nowhere. He was very active in his church. She was
Mhm.
active in the church.
Yeah, I figured.
Um, and they
That's
did
what I'm
attend
saying.
the
You're
same
doing
church.
the
So
work.
it could have happened that
Yeah,
way. It's
you're doing the
always
work.
easy to remember a story if you can imagine it, but it could have
Yeah.
been that, they were 'cause so there's this book called the Frederick Douglass Encyclopedia.
Mm,
And some of the papers there say that they met at the dock, at the ship dock, where he was like a caulker and she was
yeah,
doing laundry there. Some people say they met at church, so we don't know which one it was.
yeah,
But somehow their paths crossed. What we do know is by that point, Frederick Douglass Frederick Bailey at the time had attempted to escape slavery at least twice.
mhm.
He was not successful. Do you know anything about those escape attempts? How they went
I
down?
really don't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is about Anna, so we don't have to get into it. And he did write an autobiography. 3 times, so
So many autobiographies. Oh my
yeah,
god.
I've actually never heard of someone writing more than 1. Well, I guess Barack Obama wrote, like, multiple, but he wrote the same story pretty much 3 times.
I'm not familiar with the guy.
You're not
I'm
familiar with oh, with Barack Obama? Okay, I
I'm joking. This let's edit that out because this raging leftist over here. Um,
yeah, we'll put that at the top of the episode. Make sure people know shit out the gate. Um,
but okay, yeah,
but
no, so many
yes.
autobiographies, which also leads us up to like, dude, you wrote The Life and Times of Frederick Douglass is such a thick book.
Mhm.
How much ink did he spill about Anna?
Well, there are historians that have explanations about that. I have a cynical view, but I also have a 2026 view. So maybe that's not what it is. So anyway, he has tried to escape slavery twice.
Got you.
I don't want to make him seem like a loser, but he did fail twice. And it wasn't
That's
until
not
he
such
met
a wild thing to say.
I
I don't
said I
want to make
don't
him
want to make
seem
him seem
like
like a loser. He's not, I mean, he
I don't,
tried,
I
he
don't, I
failed.
don't know if this is going to be audio or visual. If people going to see that, I don't want to make him seem like a loser. Like what?
he
I feel like that's to try to escape it all. Come on.
I mean, yes, I have told you that. We've talked about this at length outside of the recording, but
Yeah.
I do think if we're gonna do tiers, there is escaping from, like,
You s-
the muck of Louisiana,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
there's escaping from Baltimore. So, I'm not saying that they're not both admirable, I'm just saying that they're slightly different. Maybe I shouldn't even do that, but
I think
I've
there's
never escaped from slavery.
yes. No, no, same, same. And I can't imagine. You know what I mean? Yeah, I literally can't imagine. I've nothing but respect to our ancestors who tried and failed, you know? So how do
Yeah.
we think about the folks along the middle passage who chose death rather than, and jumped off the ships rather than, than going to this whatever landscape that they were going to see in America? I mean, is that failure? I don't know.
No, I mean, I think it's just choosing a different path.
Yeah.
I probably did too much at one time, reading a lot of records about the punishments that were meted
Yeah.
out to enslaved people, particularly in Jamaica and the
Mm,
Caribbean, like on those sugarcane
yeah.
plantations. And I
I
don't
can
know,
understand. It's
jumping in the water was probably
oh,
a better
it-
choice
and
than
just
some of those situations. It is helpful to have some context to understand how valiant it is to escape from
yes,
slavery, whether it's Baltimore or Louisiana.
yes. You said whether it's 5 miles or 500. That was
I mean,
wow.
but anyway, he's trying. They're in
Yeah.
church together. And he meets Anna, and Anna, according to both his book and to his daughter's book, quote, devoted all of her energies to assist him. She
Mm,
fell in love and she was like, boom, that's my man. You
yeah.
can't tell me any different. My man, my man, my man. I'm gonna take care of it. And so she had saved the majority of her earnings and she decided to use them to help Frederick. So she sewed a sailor's uniform for him. He borrowed a freedman's like protection papers, which he used to get on a train. And he got on a train from Baltimore to Philadelphia. Then he took a ferry and another train to New York City. Bada bing, bada boom. He's free.
Wow.
Now he's not really free, of course, because of the Fugitive Slave Act.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but he is at least away from his enslavers. And he sent for Anna Murray was her name at the time. They met in New York. They got married. They made themselves honest and legal, and they immediately moved to New Bedford, Massachusetts, where he had that shipyard work background and caulking that he could do in Baltimore with less of visibility from the
Yeah.
slave catchers. So yeah, and you knew most of that. I think a lot of people know that part of the story. Like I don't know how many people know that she helped, but
Yeah.
he was only able to do it because of, what she did.
Oh, for sure. Her resources. Yeah. And I don't know. It's I mean, I haven't to be very clear, right? Like you've read a lot more about Frederick Douglass than I have, right? And my knowledge about Frederick Douglass comes from reading Narrative the Life of Frederick Douglass, they're forcing us
Sure,
to read
sure,
that.
sure.
But which I appreciate being forced to read, right? In
Yeah.
middle school in DC and high school and also going to Frederick Douglass house, right? So like I said, with my limited knowledge about Frederick Douglass, it is interesting how like yeah, I feel like it's him. Narrative the Life of Frederick Douglass, and that's it.
Mhm.
Um and I feel like I mean I don't remember a lot of it, but I'm thinking about like I'm curious about how much time he spent talking about his failed efforts to escape rather than the successful.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he talked about it quite I mean, he gave,
Yeah.
excruciating detail about, the punishment he received afterwards when he was
Mhm.
caught and went to jail and so on. He details I think a lot of people might remember is he details the physical fight he had with his, enslaver, that was a big deal.
Kobe, yeah.
Um, and if I recall correctly, I do think that eventually they ended up, like, becoming friends or at least, like,
Really?
they would
Oh,
exchange
'cause oh,
letters and
'cause that
so
was
forth.
so I think the fight was with the slave breaker, right? Am I tripping?
Oh, no, you're probably right. I'm
I
more of
think
an
I
Anna
think
gal.
I think Kobe, but I think Thomas Auld, I think. I could be wrong.
Yes, that's the name. Yes.
Auld, but yeah, he wrote a letter to him or something
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
fascinating,
I
but
think he was at his deathbed, actually. Frederick was at Thomas
mm,
Auld's deathbed. I
interesting.
think it's so and we talked about this in the Robert
Yeah,
Smalls episode, it's so hard for us to imagine extending any kindness towards an enslaver because
yeah.
we can see very clearly the brutality of that system, but
Mhm.
I often have this experience when I'm in the South versus when I'm in the North. I feel like in many ways, for as racist as both the North and the South are, I think in the South, there is at least this history of proximity between
Mhm.
Black and white people.
Yeah,
And so there's like a little more familiarity, whether it's friendly or not. And I think
interesting.
enslaved people lived so close to their enslavers. Like, I think it's hard to just, I think about how hard it is to cut off somebody. I don't know, maybe you cut off people easily, but how hard it is to cut off someone that you've known for a long time,
Yeah,
whether that was horrible or not. So,
yeah. No, and
anyway,
yeah, but I mean, and like I said, I think you would know a lot more about this, but I'm curious about like how much how much detail does he go into in talking about Anna's efforts in helping him? I don't know.
well, so at this time, and a lot of abolitionists had this fear of course, before the Civil War, they had this fear
Yeah.
of if you detail how you escaped, you put all the
You're
people that were involved
that makes
in
sense.
dangerous way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So a theory could be that he didn't talk extensively about it so that she wouldn't be implicated or the people that she worked with or her employer.
yeah. Mhm,
That's part of it. In fact, the famous story of the guy who shipped himself to freedom in a
mhm.
box. Frederick Douglass got really upset with him for telling that story because he was like, "Other people could have done this, but you revealed, so
Yeah.
now it's not gonna happen
God.
again." So,
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
this time, they were very, like, close-lipped
Interesting.
sometimes about how they escaped, how they got out.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
maybe that was part of it. I will say in so he's written 3 autobiographies, as we've discussed.
Mm.
He only mentions her by name in one of them. The other times, he refers to her, like, as his wife or he doesn't and very minimally, like, he doesn't talk extensively about her, so,
Yeah, that's
you know,
wild. That's
it's a
wild.
choice. So, when I think about this and I think about how I think that Frederick Douglass would have eventually escaped. I mean, even if he had to outlive slavery, I think he would have fine. But because of Anna, he was able to spend the best years of his life as this fierce abolitionist, this fiery speaker, this prolific writer, truly a shaper of American culture.
Mhm.
So honestly, if Anna never did anything else for Frederick or for this country, she would have done enough. But she did not stop there. She kept going.
Mhm.
So do you know anything about what she did after she helped him escape?
No, I mean, sadly, I don't know anything about her beyond, you know, her being his wife.
Yeah, which is, an important role. But
Yeah,
so when they got to New Bedford, she immediately started working. She was a laundress again. She brought all of her belongings with her. So they would have had nothing. Most people
yeah,
who escaped really just escaped with just like the very thin clothes on their back. But she
yeah.
had a feather bed that was a real cool thing at the time with pillows, bed linen, she had dishes, knives, forks, spoons. She brought them with her from Baltimore. And at that time, she was really the breadwinner of the family.
Yeah. Wow.
So, Ansar, how do you feel about being with a woman who's the breadwinner?
I feel fine about that, but I mean, I think about marriage as like partnership, Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, if someone whichever partner is making more, I mean, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, I'm
No, I'm
sorry,
just curious.
I don't have a hot take. I don't have a podcast
No, you don't
making
need a hot take.
more.
You don't have
I'm
to have
like,
a hot
oh,
take.
that sounds
We
good to
can
me.
have yeah, we can have a mild take. It's fine.
Yeah,
We don't need you to be
it's not
like,
even a take. I feel fine
yeah,
with that.
good. Yeah, I'm
I
just
mean,
curious.
like, if she's a breadwinner and she's making me pay for dinner, huh, now we got a conversation. I'm just kidding.
Well, I
Uh, yeah,
it's so interesting when people talk about the woman as the breadwinner and how odd that is. But Black women have always worked. Like, there's
yeah,
really not been a period in history where Black women were, by and large, like the
yeah,
stay-at-home person who my grandmother had 11 kids and she
yeah,
worked, like she had a job.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So, I always think it's interesting when people position it as like a wild thing. But at
Yeah,
this
no,
time,
facts.
yeah,
Yeah,
she was the free person who she made the money at
and
first.
Black women being like just Black women in particular in the households is being stable.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, yes, yeah. I mean, it's yeah,
We're fast forwarding to 1845. This is 7 years after Frederick has escaped. They have 4 kids at this point, and Frederick has escaped again. I'm just kidding. He didn't escape, but he went on a tour in Europe. He went on a traveling tour, and as someone who was a living, breathing example of slavery, he was an excellent uh, people loved hearing him speak. They loved hearing someone who came out of the
yeah,
bowels of slavery be able to escape and tell the story about it. So, um, he went on telling everyone his story. In the meantime, because this is pre Cash App or Venmo, Anna, she did what she always did. She worked. So
mhm.
she continued to work, take care
Wow.
of the kids, take care of the home, and
Mm,
she was saving money. So I kept reading in different places that she had a job as binding shoes.
mm,
I didn't know what that meant. So
yeah,
this is like right before the industrial where everything's made in a factory.
mhm,
So binding shoes, everything was done like piecework. And one of the last part of making shoes was binding them. And it's like this very exhausting, difficult job, pays very little, especially for women. And it was part of this thing called the putting out system. But it's basically where the raw materials to make something, you give them directly to people like Anna, and
yeah,
then they complete it at their house. Like you say, like, hey, here's your stuff, you make it, and then you bring it back to me. And it
yeah,
was really common for people to do it because in rural areas where it was really hard to do like a daily commute to a factory, it was impractical. It was like, let's just get you your stuff and then you bring it in. So she did that.
mm,
It was kind of an early predecessor to the remote virtual hybrid work that we do now, except way more physically challenging than sitting in
yeah,
an office.
yeah,
But the silver lining of it is that because she was caring for 4 kids, binding shoes from home while also tending to their garden that fed them made sense, even if the pay was slow.
mm. She had a
So
garden?
yeah, she was
Wow,
very well known for having this really robust garden that literally fed them, and she
no
fed other
way.
people too with it.
Wow.
Yeah, and everywhere she lived, they had a garden. So at this time, they're in New
Oh,
Bedford, Massachusetts, and she has this garden, which I don't even know how much you can grow in that climate, but um, she had a garden there.
mm,
And in addition to all of that, she had to deal with the fact that she was basically a criminal for helping her husband to escape from slavery. And at any time, she could have been pursued
mm,
by his former enslavers. He wasn't there to
yeah.
protect her.
She an accomplice at this point.
Oh, she's 100% an accomplice. So, and at this time, like he's becoming famous. People know who
Yeah,
he is. There's all these
I know.
rewards out for him.
Yeah.
Um,
He's
the
just
good
using
news,
it. Yeah.
well, I didn't say
It's
that.
like no, but, like, it's like it
Oh,
adds
you're
to
saying he's using the story. Okay, I see what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, I mean, like, it adds to his mystique, like, rapper gets shot, come on, 50 Cent. Like, I'm not saying Frederick Douglass is 50 Cent, but, it's like you we both mentioned, like you mentioned, like, he's I mean, by himself, a powerful speaker, but he came from it, like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the credibility. And so, I mean, I imagine that's why the Garrison and all of them was like, "Oh, wow, we got one with him," so
Yeah. Well,
but at
I
what
love it,
cost?
and
My bad, yeah.
no, you're good. Our
Am I
last
explaining too
episode.
much? Oh my gosh, like, this is
No, you're fine.
okay.
This is good. This is good. I was just gonna say in our last episode, um, the comparison was made between Robert Smalls and Biggie Smalls. So I
Mhm.
see we have hip hop is like a theme here. Now we have Frederick Douglass, 50 Cent. I love it. It's great.
Also,
Um,
one thing I'm also thinking about is, like, the garden thing. I mean, I just think that's beautiful in general, just, like,
yeah,
gardening, if ever I marry a woman who's, like, on her breadwinner tip, and and we can afford a single family, I would love to have a garden, and part of that,
yeah.
beyond, like, I don't know, just it being cool and very millennial, um, I read part of, I did not finish, but, I think it's by Alice Walker, like, Dreams of My Mother's Garden or something like
Oh,
that.
I haven't read it.
But it's the I mean, it's a book of essays, I believe, but yeah, she's talking about her mother's garden, and I think in that, unless I'm combining different books, she talks about how people who were enslaved had gardens, and
Yeah.
it made me so sad to think about, like, just the mundane aspects of Black life, even enslaved, like,
Hmm.
people were enslaved, had gardens, they fell in
Yeah.
love, they had lives even if it was in a cramped space. So
Yeah.
seeing how, I mean, I know Anna wasn't enslaved, but still in those conditions, she doing all this work, caring for 4 kids, and has a garden. Like, I don't know, I think there's just something really, really
Yeah.
beautiful about that, so
Yeah. It's so interesting. Gardening is well, first of all, they needed it to live because they weren't being
survive,
fed
yeah,
like healthy foods. So
yeah.
I think that's why whenever people talk about the South and they think
It
Southern
wasn't
food
no
is like,
chill, like, "Oh, look at my little plant here," like, yeah.
oh man, that looks like a prop from the Bad Bunny show. Um I whenever I so my grandmother, who's from South Carolina, my maternal
Mm,
family is all from South Carolina,
mm,
and my grandmother had a garden, and I several years later, much years later, after decades after my grandmother passed away, I started growing tomatoes
mm,
in my backyard, and I remember the first time, like, I saw, like, a little tomato, and I smelled the soil. I almost, like, passed out
mm,
from how it just reminded me so much of my grandmother's
mm,
house,
mm,
like,
mm. Wow.
weeding her garden and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's it
Oh
is it
my
is a
gosh,
labor, but it is a very rewarding
that's beautiful.
labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So she had this garden, but as I mentioned, she was a criminal,
Mm,
basically, for being an accomplice. But what she did was she developed a lot of close relationships with different groups, such as the Anti-Slavery Society of Lynn, Boston, and they provided some protection while Frederick was abroad. Um, something that I find always interesting about Anna and Frederick is that Frederick was the one who was enslaved and then escaped and then went on to become this
yeah.
writer and this well-known person. She was never a slave. She was always free. It seems like Anna never felt like she was better than those who were enslaved. And I'm
Mm.
sure there were people that were separating themselves out, like,
Oh,
we have the Jack and Jills and you got people like me who were in Upward Bound, which is for kids who need help. So, um,
I wasn't in Jack and Jill, by the way, but just
no judgment.
no, I'm just so the listeners know, what I mean? You see Cedric Robinson in the back, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, um,
Okay. Sure, sure. Uh, listen, to all of our Jack and Jill listeners, Robin, for example,
we love Robin.
we love Robin, huge fans. Um, but I always think it's really impressive that people thought of her as like this homely, uneducated
Mm,
person, but she was the one who was always free and who
yeah,
always reached back to help out. She was
yeah,
involved in all these abolitionist activities, anti-slavery
yeah,
activities, and he was the one who was enslaved. And then people didn't think that about him. People always thought he was this very polished guy. So I
yeah,
think it was really cool that she was someone who never felt like she was better than someone else.
yeah,
From what I can tell, from what we know.
yeah.
Um, today people often talk about women having it all. You have a career, you got your
Yeah,
family, you got your friends, your hobbies. But what I see much more often than women having it all is seeing people do it all, seeing women do it all. And that was Anna. So,
that's what you're saying. Doing it all versus having it all. I'm curious what you I mean, I feel
well,
like you're yeah, I'm curious what you mean by that.
I
What do you
think
yeah. I think I smell what you're stepping in, but
uh, well, I there's this goal that some people say is, women, if you do it right, you can have a career, your education, you can marry the right person, you will have a family,
mm,
and if you balance things right, you can quote have it all.
yeah.
Um, but in reality, of the people I know that appear to have it all, they are really doing
Mm,
they're either doing a lion's share of the work in their partnership, or they have the means to hire someone, usually women, to assist them with that.
yeah,
Um, Anna did not have those means. She was doing it all. She had friends and she had community, but
yeah,
she was doing a lot of it. And the other thing is she was several hundred miles away from her own family in Maryland, all of her siblings and
yeah.
her family, her parents. So she was making her own new family. Um, but she had a way of creating home and community no matter where she went. So this is now 1852. They now have 5 kids. So now they have that 5th daughter who's named Annie. They had 5 kids at this point: Rosetta, Louis, Frederick, Charles, and Annie. They
Mm,
moved to Rochester, New York, and that's where we get the North Star, the newspaper, which was revived by what's his name? Sean, Sean,
Sean
Sean, not Sean Kingston. That's an artist.
oh, Talcum X.
Talcum X. But what's it? I don't know his I can't remember his real name. Sean King. Sean
Yeah, Sean
King. I
yeah.
could remember all of his nicknames, but I couldn't remember Sean. This is a joke. Sean King did not effectively revitalize the North Star. Finally, Frederick is back home from his speaking tours. The family's more financially stable, and so Frederick decides to expand their home to include several rooms for enslaved persons who are fleeing the
Mm,
South on their way to Canada. Their Rochester home became a buzzing stop on the Underground Railroad. Rosetta, her daughter, she wrote, "It was no unusual occurrence for mother to be called up at all hours of the night, cold or hot as the case may be, to prepare supper for a hungry lot of fleeing humanity."
wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. Their house was at the top of this hill, and they
Mm,
didn't have any other neighbors, so that's what made them a great place to do it.
mm, yeah.
And historians estimate that she assisted some 400 fugitives while living in Rochester.
Wow,
So she's putting up Tubman numbers.
wow. Putting up Tubman numbers is did you come up with that before? Was that off the cuff? That was
That was
great.
off the cuff. That was off the cuff. That was off the cuff. I felt really good as I was saying it. I'm gonna be
No,
honest with
but
you.
but for real, why don't we talk about this? Wow. 'Cause that's the work.
Yeah.
We glamorize the Tubman.
As we should.
As we should, right?
I'm
No,
okay with
you're right.
glamorizing Harriet
You're right,
Tubman.
on period, full stop. And also, we should glamorize this too, or lionize this, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a either or competing, but yeah, just who gets
Yeah.
the you shouldn't have to do I mean, me from my privileged standpoint, right? Like, but, like, why is it that Tubman has to literally run back and, free folks like step by step of the way in order for her to get recognition. Just thinking of that
Yeah.
when in reality, Anna's work of aiding these folks, feeding them is also super important. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting thinking about like at what lengths black women had to go to get their just due. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's more my point, not to pit them
No.
against each other. But yeah,
Well, it
wow.
took a Black woman to tell the story of what she
Yeah,
did.
look, come on, and you carrying it
Yeah.
forward, right?
We are together. We're doing this
Yes.
together.
Look,
Uh,
it's all you. I'm learning.
there's a Pulitzer Prize winning book written by David Blight. I highly recommend it. I'll show you all the
Mm,
book. It's called Frederick Douglass.
yeah.
Um, I like to tell Antar how many pages are in this book as a humble brag. Um,
You read the
yes.
book, yeah?
Well, let me be clear. I have 3 children, so I audiobooked. I listened to. 800
I can't
pages,
say
this book.
anything in response to that. You know what I mean? Like if you preface it with that, it's like, all right, well, yeah, you got it, you got it.
I did the audiobook, but I
Yeah.
did buy the physical book, and I do reference it from time to time.
And you, at the end of the day, you listen to it too, and I have not. So as I say, I defer to you when it comes to things Douglas. So
Most people know the story that he wrote about himself.
mm,
What I love about this is this takes a broader view of what we know to be true about Frederick Douglass,
yeah,
not from his own. Because I'm telling you, if I write a biography about myself, it's not going to
yeah,
be the same as if Antar writes it. Antar going to
yeah,
give you
yeah,
the real.
yeah.
Um, so
But who's
some
David Blight though? David Blight's a historian, yeah.
David Blight is a Sterling Professor of History at Yale University
Mm.
and director
Black
of
man,
the Gilder Lehrman Center for the Study of Slavery, Resistance, and Abolition at
black
Yale.
nerd.
He
Just
is
out of
the
curiosity.
editor of, what is race?
So we believe this white man's words about. I'm just kidding. Walter Johnson is one of my favorite historians, white guy. He's read about, yeah, I don't know. So I'm
You're
completely
just
joking.
kidding. You have white
Yeah,
friends
I'm not
too.
trying to come at his scholarship at all.
So back to Anna, as I was
Back to
saying,
Anna. Back to Anna. Why are we talking about Frederick? I'm sorry.
she hosted his colleagues, a lot of his colleagues.
Mm.
So while he would be out speaking or doing whatever it was he was doing, I didn't mean to say that in a pejorative way. While he was out working, fighting for the cause
Yeah,
of
yeah, giving
uh,
speeches.
abolition. Oftentimes his colleagues, usually women, but sometimes I don't think any men. I can't imagine that men would stay in the house while he wasn't there. That doesn't seem like that would have happened at that
Mm.
time. Um, they often would look down on her, and they said, "Oh," one of them wrote, "Poor fellow, he has to deal with this domestic woman," and they felt so bad for him that she was this uneducated woman. That's unfortunate. I don't know what Frederick said in defense of her to those women, but she certainly was looked down upon by Frederick's circle.
Yeah, that's sick. I mean, I hope he said something, right? Like you hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
did.
and this is why I brought this up. Lee Fott, who is a historian and author,
Hmm.
happens to be a white woman before you ask me. She wrote a book called Women in the World of Frederick Douglass.
Mm.
And this is her view. I don't know if this is true. This is probably her opinion, or maybe she has a better understanding of that time.
Yeah.
Her view was that at that time, women weren't people you talked about. Like you don't it you, the only time women were documented or written about was when they were married or when they died. You don't
Oh my gosh.
They
Yeah.
want to be demure, like you don't talk about them in public. You certainly don't write about them. And so at this time, where all these people that she's hosting, his friends, are saying all these things about her, looking down on her. There's all these rumors flying about Frederick having affairs.
Yeah.
And according to this historian, and I'm not saying whether those things are true or not.
Yeah, no, I got
According to
you.
this historian, she says Frederick, and I'm quoting her here, Frederick was trying to respect Anna. That's why he didn't write about her. Women weren't supposed to appear in print. Maybe
Mm,
that's true. So,
yeah. Wow. Wow.
um,
And now I just want to be like, why am I not a historian? Because I should know. I should know about these things. And that's so like, dang, all the stories we don't know, and we're deprived of. But and
yeah,
if we're not talking about women, period, right, in that time period, right?
yeah,
What do we know about black women in particular? So
not that much.
yeah. Wow.
Not that much. So as we mentioned before, Frederick Douglass started producing the North Star, the weekly newspaper. Their stated goal was to attack slavery in all its forms and
Yeah.
form and aspects, advocate universal emancipation, exalt the standard of public morality, yeah, promote the moral and intellectual improvement of the colored people, and hasten the day of freedom to the 3 millions of our enslaved fellow countrymen.
Mm,
So, publicly, the North Star was the work of Frederick Douglass and Martin Delany, but as is often the case, Anna had her hand in its success as well.
yeah.
It was actually her idea that their boy's first job, even as young as 9, should be in the newspaper's office, and they
Oh, wow.
um, continue to do so.
Mm,
She, as I mentioned, she was not able to read well. She was extremely proud of and invested in the work of the North Star. I read a story where she basically, whenever it was whenever it was a day of publishing, she made sure everybody in the house was on point. Like everyone was everyone was focused on making sure Frederick was prepared and had everything he needed. She felt that this was important work, which it was, and
Yeah.
she played a big role in making sure that it got done.
Mm, wow. Dang.
She also would ask her children to read it to her and keep her informed about what was going on in the anti-slavery movement. I know this isn't exactly the same thing, not even close to the same thing. I'm almost regretting already what I'm about to share, but um, Gabrielle Union wrote about how when Dwayne Wade, whenever he had game days, it was her job to make sure everyone in the household was quiet. Like he could get all the sleep he needed. He had all the right foods. And it was
Yeah.
just like, she is an accomplished actress in her own right. I
Yeah.
mean, she's Gabrielle Union,
Gabrielle
but
Union. Yeah.
she's Gabrielle Union.
Yeah.
And she felt like, okay, Dwayne has a game today. Let me make sure everything's all
Mhm.
set for him. And it's just so interesting to see how um, so many men's careers are, I don't want to say propped up because I don't want to diminish their talent, but enabled
Yeah,
by their
yeah, yeah.
partner's
Mm,
support for them.
yeah. I'm thinking about that, so Gabrielle Union is the relation we're making to Anna Douglas, is that okay? 50 and Frederick, oh, got it. Um, but no, I do think that's useful, right? Like, I mean, just as a way to think about
Well,
it,
what
and
I'm
I
saying is that happened in 1850
yeah,
something.
facts. Yeah,
And this was in 2010s or whenever Dwayne Wade was playing in the
yeah.
NBA that she was doing that.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
I'm with you. Like, I
yeah.
want to be clear here about yeah, but and I just love the cultural comparisons. But I'm
You
like,
know,
what's that
I
one
read all
little
kinds of memoirs. I read about Frederick Douglass, I read Gabrielle Union. I do all of it.
I love but I am thinking, what is it? Is it I don't know the phrase or the saying, I don't know if it's, just for men or black men, right? Behind every great
Mm.
great black man is a strong black woman, right? Is that phrase for black folks or is it for everyone? I mean,
I have heard it, but not the black part.
okay.
I thought it was behind every successful man is a woman. I didn't know it was specific
I could be
to.
making it up, right? I mean,
No,
I'm sure
no.
I am, but I'm thinking about that too. Like, I hear that, that phrase, that saying, almost in like a, oh, look at this woman supporting. I don't know. I'm just like, it's always felt icky to me before I even knew what feminism
Yeah.
was. I'm just like, wait, what? Like, yeah, props to her. I don't know. Is this something about it? Like,
Well, it makes it seem like her role is in service of someone else versus her
yes,
own aspirations, goals. I think the intent, whoever said this first,
yeah,
was to highlight that they couldn't do it alone,
yes.
but it often minimizes, like, their and this is why whenever I talk about Barack and Michelle Obama,
Mm,
which isn't often, but when I do,
yeah,
I make a point to say that they both had their own respective careers prior
yeah,
to, like, she was a first lady, but before she was first lady, she had a very decorated
yeah,
career, in the nonprofit and as in a nonprofit space, so
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just yeah, I mean, yeah, I think to your point, it's like it's just it diminishes not only the career but just who they are as people. I think it can. I like how you said it earlier, just like I couldn't have done this without the person, rather than like, oh, they're behind me. It's something about the imagery of just being behind. I don't know, like that
Well,
just
sometimes people say beside now. I think that's like
okay.
the updated version, the 2026 version,
Progress.
is people
Let's
will
get it.
say beside, not behind, but,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still you're still like Batman and Robin
Yeah,
versus
it's
Batman and
interesting,
Batman.
and it's like, yeah, I'm going back to the Gabrielle Union comparison. Yeah, it's because especially if it's like if love is service to an extent, right? And I'm also
Mhm.
curious, like, okay, was Douglas showing up for Anna in other ways? I mean, I asking rhetorically because I feel like we don't know about it. If so, I mean, I don't know if you know, but and also was Dwayne Wade showing up and catering to and propping up Gabrielle Union similarly, right? I don't know. I mean, I imagine it's not. I don't know anything like that. Like,
I do I always struggle with this about, do you judge people based on the time they were in and what was standard, or by what is right? and what is
Yeah.
wrong.
So
And I usually fall on what is right and what is wrong because there have always been people, when we talk about slavery, for example,
yeah.
even enslavers, Thomas Jefferson, even these people all were writing about how cruel and horrible it was. Like these people knew
Mhm.
and then just decided to continue.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
so I
AI.
don't know.
Oh, my bad. That's take that out, please. I'm sorry. That was
It's
so bad.
fine.
So bad.
So you know what's cool is I can mute like if you're making a good point and I was interrupting you, I can mute myself. I can make it so it just mutes my mic and then yours
Yeah.
stays on. I can keep what you said and vice versa. It's
Okay.
pretty cool.
That's
Cool
great. Yeah.
technology. So I'll
This
be muting
nigga,
myself a lot.
this nigga comparing AI to slavery, but people really just like, oh yeah, AI is terrible. It makes my job easier. I'm just like, what? Anyway,
I mean, I think the thing about AI that I struggle with is that we don't really have a choice.
you can't escape it. You can't escape it.
You don't have
Yeah,
you if you wanna do a Google search, you have
yeah.
to search it and
It's
then
going to
write
pop up.
minus AI.
Yeah,
Like,
but
who's
but
gonna do that?
but
You gotta go
people are
out of your
like,
way to avoid it.
yeah. But I know folks who are like, I love AI, and I'm just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, yes, we are all in capitalism, but I don't love capitalism. Like it's just
Yeah.
anyway. My bad.
No, no apology needed. This is
Where
great.
where was we at? But yeah, no, yeah. So I guess going back to like, do we judge them for the times or just for what's right or what's
Mhm,
wrong? So I'm guessing based on, Blight's book and or what we know about his many autobiographies, he doesn't really Douglas
mhm.
doesn't necessarily talk that much about how he catered to or served or
Mm-mm.
complimented. And I guess is that a fair statement?
I think probably the most telling thing is that people felt comfortable saying negative things about his wife to him.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if somebody was to come to me and we're not you and I aren't married, we're just good friends, but
yeah,
if somebody was to come to me and say, "Man, Antar, man, oh god, he's so annoying, blah, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't talk about this is my friend. Why do you
yeah,
think I'm a safe space
yeah.
for your disrespect?"
Mhm,
And the fact that there are multiple accounts of people, like it's documented, of people
yeah,
writing negative things about his wife to him and then continuing to have more letters. It wasn't like the letters stop after they
yeah,
say something nasty. That to me is probably telltale about how he felt about it. But I mean, again, I don't know how much she knew about that. She was really focused on her work and she had a lot of work to do, taking care
yeah,
of their family, supporting the newspaper, excuse me. And Frederick Douglass did write in a letter, instead of finding my companion a burden, she is truly a helpmeet. So he
mm,
recognized, at least in some ways, the value that she brought to
yeah,
him. So in 1860, their youngest daughter, Anna, died, as I mentioned before. She was 10. And this was actually really common. Something that's actually really sad is one of their kids had 7 kids, and none of them survived past 24. I
oh,
mean,
wow.
kids just died at this
Oh,
time. The
yeah,
the mortality rate was high, and I don't know how much of it's genetic, but, around when her daughter died, that's when she started having, like, a lot of health issues.
mm,
They varied. She did live to see the end of the Civil War, Reconstruction, and of course, her husband's status as one of the most famous living Americans at that
mhm,
time. I mean, even now, one of the most famous. He has instantly, you can do a silhouette of Frederick Douglass, just his hair, and
yes,
people know. Even my son, who's 7, knows that that's
yeah,
Frederick Douglass.
mm,
Um, so in 1882, she died at 69 after having several strokes. There was something this historian said about her that I loved. She said, "People like Anna did leave an impression on the historical record by doing things. You have to be quiet and listen to the choices they made and understand the context and the other possible choices they had." So basically, she's saying, you know who Anna is by her work. And, if you're getting biblical with it, by her fruit, not
yeah,
so much by what anyone wrote about her, but what she was able to do.
yeah. Wow, wow. Yeah, and because there would be no Frederick Douglass, as
No,
we know,
not
if there
as we
was
know.
no Anna Douglas, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, he
um,
was catapulted to popularity because he was able to be an escaped slave who told a
Yeah.
story. You know, if he had
Yeah.
had to ride it out, you know, your story is not as unique. Everybody used to be a slave. Something I wanted to share that was in the at the very end of the book is, you know, by Rosetta, Anna's daughter. She says, "I have thus striven." Man, they were really
You know
writing
how
back
they
then.
talk back then. You know how they be talking.
I have thus striven to give
Yeah.
you a glimpse of my mother. In so
Mm.
doing, I am conscious of having made frequent mention of my father. It is difficult to say anything of mother without the mention of father. Her life was so enveloped in his. Together, they rest side by side, and most befittingly within sight of the dear old home of hallowed memories, and from which the panting fugitive, I love that, panting fugitive,
Dancing. Yeah.
the weary traveler, the lonely emigrant of every clime, received food and shelter.
Mhm.
So they did move to DC, but they are both buried in Rochester, New York, which is where
Mm.
they lived when they all worked together to create the North Star. So that's Anna Douglas.
Wow.
What are your thoughts?
Wow. I mean, so much. Like I was kind of joking at the beginning, but also kind of not when thinking about like how you started with how they met with how
Mhm.
the Douglases met in the church singing. There's so many silences, and you quoting that historian as well. There's so many silences in
Mhm.
archives in history, so much that we don't know, and even so, in the silence is even deeper when it comes to women, black women, right? And it's amazing, and you sharing this, how much I mean, granted, I don't know a lot, but how much I don't know about like Anna Douglas when I was forced to know so much, and I'm, and we had to read Narrative Life of Frederick Douglass, and I'm super grateful for one of my,
Yeah.
favorite books, favorite people,
Yeah, that's fair.
growing
Great
up.
writer.
Yeah. And but also
What is the 4th of July to a slave?
every 4th of July, LinkedIn's going wild, right? But I'm really saddened by the silences, and also heartened that you're doing this work of elevating what we know and what we don't know, and also filling some of
Yeah.
them silences, right? So I know you have a lot of writing projects already, but I hope this is another one, like just storying
Mhm.
her life and what possibly it could have been like, and I think of what you were doing here, what you're doing in the kind of like just the educated guesses we're making, right? Of
Mhm.
painting a fuller portrait of Anna Douglas by way of her daughter's what's her daughter's name? I'm sorry.
Rosetta.
Rosetta, yeah, Rosetta.
Mhm.
Like
Love
I
that
don't know,
name.
like that's the work. It reminds me of Sadia Hartman's work. She has this book,
Mhm.
like Wayward Lives, and in that she takes this very small snippets, but then creates these stories from them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I feel like that's just the work we have to do. Yeah, I just feel kind of just sad that we don't. There's so much we
Yeah.
don't know, and like Douglas let these people talk wild about his wife. There would be no Frederick Douglass if there was no Anna. He had the resources and means and space. I mean, I'm thinking about the intellectual work that's necessary for him that was necessary for him to do the to create those speeches, to write all his books, right?
Mhm.
Like 100%. That's intellectual work, that's deep work, that's
Oh,
thinking, right?
100%.
And
Yeah.
also you don't have space, and this is not to say if you're busy working with your hands, you're not a thinker, but you have less energy to think
Mhm.
and to just ruminate on things and come up
Yeah.
with these fire bars or whatever
Man. Yeah.
if you're working all the time with your hands or doing manual labor or putting shoes
Man.
together, so I'm
Parenting will scramble your brain, that's for sure.
parenting, right?
Mom
Like,
brain is a
so
thing.
if Douglas was looking after equally, not even equally, right? If Douglas was looking after 30%,
Mhm.
20%, like taking time, kicking it with the kids, doing us like, would he have had that output? I think about the theorists that we often prop up, like the Socrateses in them, like who's just able to think and talk, like they was able to do that because they had people working for them. They had slaves,
I was gonna
like,
say, didn't he have slaves?
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like all the labor that goes unseen
Mhm.
into, this intellectual work, and it's sad that Anna's I wish it was, yeah, her work and labor of creating space, for
Mhm.
Douglas, was more known, so thank you for doing
Yeah.
this work.
Well, by all accounts, she really enjoyed the abolitionist work.
Yeah,
It brought her joy to do that for people. So,
yeah, that's
I hope that
dope.
she found joy in that. I know she loved her kids. I know Frederick loved his kids. I mean, he talks extensively about them as well. So, um, we know what we know. I think this is a great example. You can just see here. This is Anna Douglas, and then
Mhm,
this is Frederick
mhm.
here, and this is
Oh,
just one of countless
yeah,
books about this man.
mm,
Um, but now it's time for a game.
okay, let's get it.
Okay. Wikipedia has an interesting article or page. List of things named after Frederick Douglass. We've
Mm,
got at least 4 neighborhoods, 8 parks, 22 schools, dozens of streets, bridges, an airport. There's a campus building at my alma mater, Howard University. So, how do we even this out? What are we going to do? Are we going to rename this stuff, Frederick and Anna? Do we do split custody and like half of them become Anna, half of them become Frederick? What do you recommend that we rename? What gets to stay? What do we change?
wow.
This is more your side of town. The Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge in Anacostia. Do we change that?
That's not my side of town. I'm from uptown, but
Okay, your side of the country. I didn't
I
mean to. I
I
didn't
just
mean to be. Let me make a public apology. I did not mean to besmirch
no, no, no.
Uptown
No,
Antar by
I
saying he
just
was from Anacostia.
no, 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 no. It's a because I'd be false flagging if I said I was from
No,
Southside.
I listen.
That's it. I wanna
I'm
be
so
clear.
sorry.
No, 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 because
I'm so
people be like,
sorry.
"Ansar, you was from Shepherd Park, like, relax," like, "You're not from Anacostia." There's a difference,
I think it's
but
where they
yeah.
have that big chair in Anacostia. They have the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge.
Mhm.
So what are we calling that? Is that going to stick? You know what? Anna Costia?
And it makes more sense.
We rename
Anna.
that one. Anna
Yeah, I love
Douglass
that. I
Memorial
mean,
Bridge.
anything about, like, just the work of memorialization, right? Like, what gets lost
Yeah.
memorialization, what is highlighted. It shouldn't be too much to add.
Yeah, there's a street near me that used to be it used to be Stonewall,
Yeah.
and everyone knew it as Stonewall. And then 2020, when everyone briefly
Mhm.
cared about race relations,
Yeah.
they
Very
changed
brief.
it to very briefly. It was a moment, not a movement. They changed it to
It really was just a moment. I was
that was it.
we back. We back and worse than before.
Worse than before.
Yeah.
God dang.
Golly.
Oh, you
Yeah.
laugh to not cry. They changed it to the
Mm,
Brooklyn Village Street, and that's in honor of a black neighborhood.
mm.
But people still call it Stonewall.
Yeah.
And in Google Maps, they haven't even updated it. And I'm like, it's 6 years later. It's still not
Wow.
updated in Google Maps, even though
Yeah.
it's updated on the actual street.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Wow.
And we get some gardens going, some urban gardens going. We call them all the
Mm,
Anna Douglas Gardens. That'd be
I love
cool.
that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
All
And
right.
your book will also highlight this, yeah?
Uh,
You're not
probably
writing a book
not.
about this?
I'm not writing a book about Anna
A short
Douglas.
story?
Black campus life. The world's black students make at a historically white institution by Dr. Antar Tichavakunda.
Yeah,
Good. I got all this highlighted and everything in here. I can't let y'all have my copy. It's special.
that's very kind of you, and I'm honored, honestly, you even take time to read my little book.
All right, next section. I'm going to call it the Who Said That quiz. So in honor
Okay.
of February, the month of love, um, and we're going to go beyond Anna and Frederick Douglass.
I'm gonna be
I'm going
so
to
bad.
give you,
Okay,
that's
go ahead.
okay. I'm going to give you a quote,
Okay.
and you're going to tell me who wrote this to their boo. These are all
Mm,
famous. Well, the first one is this is a famous black couple.
okay.
So this is a letter that this young man wrote to this woman. They were both in school at the time. And he writes, "Darling, I miss you so much. In fact, much too much for my own good. I never realized that you were such an intimate part of my life. My life without you is like a year without a springtime, which comes to give illumination and heat to the atmosphere, saturated by the dark, cold breeze of winter. Oh, excuse me, my darling. I didn't mean to go off on such a poetical and romantic flight. But how else can we express the deep emotions of life other than in poetry? Isn't love too ineffable to be grasped by the cold, calculating hands of intellect?" What man wrote that to his, at that time, they were boyfriend and girlfriend. They ended up becoming married. I'll give you a hint. They had 4 kids together. He was immediately in love with her when they met.
Mm,
She felt like he was short,
mm.
and also she didn't like that he didn't have facial hair because he had just pledged Alpha Phi Alpha, and so they had shaved off all his facial hair. And they were,
What
this is the hint that's gonna give it away. They
yeah.
were in school in Boston.
What was it, Dr. King?
It was Reverend Doctor Martin Luther
Okay,
King
got you.
to Coretta.
Actually, I would've yeah, if you didn't say the Boston thing, I would've known. I didn't know he was
Right?
spitting like that.
Listen, whenever I read how people used to write,
Yeah.
I want to cry.
We
I
need bring
want
that back.
to cry.
Bring back love letters.
Abraham Lincoln, one of my favorite books, Team of Rivals.
Gettysburg
They had
Address.
I mean, yes, that's
The
great too.
writing. Yeah, my
But
bad,
just the
yeah.
writing, the personal writing that they wrote to each
Mm.
other, like man wrote to other men in such
Yeah,
like they were so expressive, like, "I
no.
miss you," and I was just like, "Man," and they weren't, it wasn't homosexual, it was just that was how people spoke.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Write some letters. No love letters, but,
This
some
is
love.
this is that was a beautiful letter. When I read that, I was like, "Oh, that's so nice." But he was all in, and she was like,
Yeah.
He's kinda short. You know, had no facial hair. I don't know."
Oh, he was
Facial
spitting.
hair facial hair for men is makeup. That's y'all's
Mm.
makeup. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been fun. I've learned a lot. You've actually recommended a couple books throughout this podcast that I'm going to take note of.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we always like to end with, what is something you're reading or listening to that you recommend to others? Can be a book, a podcast, an album, anything. What you got?
I am always returning to Derek Bell and his
Mm,
work. Um, Derek Bell, meaning he was the first uh, black tenured professor in Harvard Law
at
School.
Harvard, yeah.
Yeah, most notably known is like the quote unquote godfather of critical race theory. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I always return to his work and
Is there a specific book that you recommend?
Faces at the Bottom of the Well.
Yeah,
Faces at the Bottom of the Well is an incredible book. And then I would also read gospel choirs after that.
I haven't read
Um,
that one.
yeah, and that's like it came out a little bit
Write it
later,
down.
but Derek Bell, you know, often known as a racial pessimist of sorts, in many
Yeah.
ways was a black theologian and
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
yeah, found a lot of inspiration in faith, in
Mm-hmm.
religion, Christianity. And one of the ways he fought for one of the things that motivated his fight for racial justice was he said the Negro spirituals, the slave songs, right? Which is, I don't know, I think somewhat relevant given we're talking about the
Right.
Douglasses. But yeah, I love Frederick Douglass's work. I've been reading a lot of critical race work. I also love Mari Matsuda's work. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
her yeah, Mari Matsuda, it's just her pen is amazing. So anything by Mari Matsuda, I would recommend too.
Okay. All right. I love that. I think we will end there. Well, thank you. Thank you. That was super fun. It's always fun to hang out with friends. Thank you for listening to Undertold by CM. And as always, please listen, please rate, please subscribe, tell a friend. We love getting these stories out there. Have a good one. See you next time. Do you have any other thoughts you want to share about Barack Obama while we have you recording?
I'd say a lot of what Trump is able to do now is because of Barack Obama,
Okay,
and
well, I
people
won't
need
include that.
to
Okay. Well, I won't be including that.